Is Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon still worth playing in 2024? Released in 2013 as a standalone expansion to Ubisoft Montreal's critically acclaimed Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon takes players on a nostalgic trip back to the neon-soaked cybernetic future of the 1980s. It's a bold departure from the realism of its predecessor, instead embracing a tongue-in-cheek parody of 80s sci-fi action movies. In this review, we're taking a look at whether this retro-futuristic adventure still holds up over a decade later, and if it's still worth playing in 2024. Blood Dragon drops players into an alternate post-nuclear apocalypse of 2007, where they assume the role of Sergeant Rex Power Colt, a cybernetically enhanced super soldier. Colt is deployed to a remote island to investigate Colonel Ike Sloan, a rogue military commander threatening global domination with bioengineered superweapons. Teaming up with Dr. Elizabeth Darling, Colt must navigate a landscape filled with mutants, cyborgs, and the titular blood dragons, bioengineered creatures with deadly capabilities. The narrative unfolds like a classic 80s action flick, complete with over-the-top villains, cheesy one-liners, and a hero who embodies the spirit of action heroes like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone. The plot is deliberately cliché-ridden, celebrating and parodying the era's tropes simultaneously. It's a narrative approach that pays homage to pop culture at the time, while maintaining a self-awareness that prevents it from taking itself too seriously. The island itself is a blend of dark, post-apocalyptic landscapes illuminated by neon hues that evoke a retro-futuristic aesthetic. Character designs draw clear inspiration from the era's action movies, while enemy designs feature cybernetic soldiers clad in leather and motorcycle helmets, paying homage to classics like Terminator and Mad Max, and the fearsome blood dragons that themselves shift between emitting a green or red neon glow to indicate their threat level, evoking a sense of retro-futuristic menace that perfectly fits within the game's narrative universe. Blood Dragon retains the core gameplay mechanics of Far Cry 3, but cranks them up to 11 with a satirical twist. Players are given the freedom to approach missions either stealthily or guns blazing, with a variety of weapons and gadgets at your disposal, emphasising player choice and allowing creative strategies to tackle enemies and complete objectives. While the map size is smaller compared to its predecessor, the game compensates with a more focused experience. This results in fewer collectibles and side missions, but ensures that each one feels meaningful and contributes to character progression. Completing missions and collecting cyber hearts, a humour twist on traditional thrown collectible items, unlocks upgrades for weapons, enhancing their firepower and utility in combat. The gunplay in Blood Dragon is satisfying, with each weapon offering a distinct feel and strategic advantage. Upgrades including explosive sniper rounds, incendiary shotgun shells, players can tailor their loadouts to suit their preferred playstyle. However, the game does lean more towards action-packed combat scenarios, with stealth mechanics being relatively limited compared to other entries in the Far Cry series. In particular, that the only stealth weapon is either a knife or a bow. There are no upgrades for these items, and they do feel subpar to the guns on offer. The driving mechanics, as always in a Far Cry game, while functional for traversal, are frustratingly clunky and lack depth. Vehicles serve primarily as a means to get from one mission objective to another, rather than offering any engaging gameplay mechanics or uses. Where Blood Dragon truly shines though is in its meticulous attention to capturing the essence of 80s pop culture. The game's visuals are a vibrant tapestry of neon-lit environments reminiscent of iconic films like Blade Runner and Tron. The dystopian landscapes are bathed in hues of glowing reds and greens, creating stark contrast with the dark, war-torn backdrop. The use of a CRT filter enhances the retro aesthetic, simulating the experience of playing on an old television set from the 1980s. This visual effect not only reinforces the game's homage to the era, but also adds a layer of authenticity to the overall presentation. Audio design in Blood Dragon is again a standout feature, delivering a high-quality experience that you would expect from a AAA title. Sound effects are crisp and impactful, enhancing the immersion during intense combat sequences. Weapons sound distinct and powerful, reinforcing the player's sense of agency and impact on the battlefield. Voice acting is another highlight, with Michael Baine's portrayal of Sergeant Rex Power Colt capturing the essence of an 80s action hero. Baine's delivery of Colt's cheesy one-liners and tough guy persona adds a layer of authenticity to the game's satirical narrative.
Yep, got another one. What the fuck am I doing?
Supporting characters also deliver solid performances, contributing to an overall charm and humour to the experience. The synthwave soundtrack is a perfect complement to the game's retro-futuristic setting. Drawing inspiration from iconic 80s films like Terminator and Scarface, there really are moments in that soundtrack where you can very, very clearly hear those films' iconic audio cues in the music and in the influence, and it really does sell the experience. The soundtrack itself features pulsating beats and synthesizer melodies that will transport you players back to the era of VHS tapes and arcade games. Each track enhances the mood and atmosphere of Blood Dragon, whether intense firefights or exploration of the island's sprawling landscapes. However, one issue with the audio design is that the sounds of the Blood Dragons, be it their roars or the firing of their laser ability, is far too loud when compared to other effects such as alarms and explosions. Not only does this overpower other audio cues, affecting situational awareness and immersion during gameplay, it's also just annoying. It was really annoying just to experience a gunfight and then just have this massive as a laser gets fired. It was just unbearable. So I absolutely wouldn't recommend playing the game with headphones, and if you are, you're probably going to want to keep your volume quite low, which again kind of ruins the experience of the gunfights and the stealth experience. In terms of performance, Blood Dragon generally runs smooth on modern hardware. However, while playing on my PS5, I experienced occasional frame rate drops and minor bugs that can detract from the overall experience, such as audio from friendly scientist weapons on a constant loop, only rectified upon their death.
Watch where you shoot!
Another was a software error that would cause the PlayStation to completely freeze up and crash, and it would require a real hard reboot of the PlayStation to recover, and it would corrupt the save file and you'd have to jump back to a previous autosave. Issues like these, while not game breaking, they are noticeable and may affect immersion during gameplay sessions. But it is certainly something that's going to be on a case-by-case basis, and your level of how much of that you're willing to endure will vary. I only had one or two issues that cropped up that caused the game to need to be restarted, so I was okay playing with those, but it is something to be aware of. Blood Dragon itself is fairly short. It's about the length you would expect for a standalone expansion. The main story can be completed in approximately 4 to 5 hours, with additional time spent on side missions and collectibles, adding a few more hours to the gameplay, maybe doubling that if you do take your time. While the focused experience ensures that every moment is filled with action and humour, it does limit the game's replayability. You're probably going to complete the campaign well before you've collected all the collectibles. If you want all of the upgrades, A, to afford them, and B, just to even have access to them, you're going to want to collect all the collectibles. Though the collectibles are limited compared to previous Far Cry games, it's still really boring. The game's standalone nature means that once the main story is completed, there's limited incentive to revisit the open world, revisit the island. While weapon upgrades and collectibles provide some motivation for completionists, the lack of substantial post-game content may leave players craving far more depth and longevity. It certainly wasn't enough content to drive me to clear the remaining 50% of the map once I finished the main story. I had more than enough upgrades and weapons to handle any fight with relative ease. Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon remains a standout title for its bold embrace of 80s nostalgia and its unique take on the Far Cry formula. With its vibrant aesthetics, engaging gameplay mechanics, and memorable narrative, the game offers a thrilling experience that celebrates and parodies the pop culture of its era. While it may not offer the depth or longevity of its main series counterparts, Blood Dragon excels in delivering a focused, entertaining adventure that is sure to resonate with fans of retro gaming and 80s action cinema. For those looking to revisit a time when cybernetic super soldiers and neon-drenched landscapes ruled the silver screen, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon remains a worthy addition to any gaming library. Its blend of humour, nostalgia and explosive action makes it a timeless classic that continues to entertain and delight players even years after its initial release. So while trying to decide on a final score, it really came down to a combination of how much I enjoyed the game and how well it achieved its aims. While my enjoyment of Blood Dragon did ebb and flow as I alternated between missions and open world content, it was on the whole a rather enjoyable experience and undeniably did an incredible job of recreating and homaging the 80s movies that developers so clearly love. Taking into consideration some of the flaws inherent to Ubisoft's style of open world and the effect that had on my enjoyment of the game, Blood Dragon just edged its way into a final rating of an 8. Blood Dragon is very good. It might have scored lower if the game was longer, but it just manages to cradle the line of fun and overstaying its welcome. It gets a deserved final score of generally worth it. It has a lot to offer and does what it intends to do well. I would generally recommend it as an enjoyable experience for the majority of people. Have you played Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon? Let me know on your thoughts in the comments below. Did you agree with my verdict or have I grossly misjudged? If you haven't played Blood Dragon yet, do you think you will now? Let me know. As always, you've been watching Free Thought Gaming. If you'd like what you saw and want to see more, hit the like and subscribe.